This is Dave Bremson with SafeMind, and I'm out here with my friend Wayne. We're doing one of my favorite hunts, which is the January over-the-counter archery antlered deer and javelina hunt. It's pretty much a mouthful, but it's a great opportunity to get out on public lands, hunt some great rugged Arizona terrain, see if we can get a javelina, see if we can get a deer. Today it was javelina 1, Dave 0. Got a shot, hit a branch. You know the story. It's same old song and dance that every hunter tells when he gets home. But this time it's true, and I have a witness. So my buddy Wayne and I, we were talking when we were out on the trail, and we're just talking about being out in the backcountry and some situations that can happen. And typically, people think of hunting accidents occurring with firearms. So we're bow hunting. Again, people don't really think of hunting accidents occurring with a bow. Let's think about this, though. You have a stick with a razor blade on the end, and it's not unlikely that you're going to be walking in rough terrain with said stick with the razor blade on the end in your bow. So you're going to be knocked up, ready to go if you're on a stalk. And like I was, in rough terrain again, hunting javelina, I'm ready to go because they're in and out. They don't call them the ghosts of the desert for nothing. They're you see them, now you see them, now you don't. So you got to be ready to go. You trip and fall. That broadhead, again, it's razor sharp for a reason. We want it to get through animal hide, so it's going to go through my hunting clothes, and it's probably going to cause some serious damage. Whether it's cuts, whether it's impalements, and they're created to broadheads are made to kill animals. So you will have an injury. How do you fix that? I hunt alone quite often. I carry an in-reach device, a satellite, two-way satellite communicator. Someone always knows where I am. I file a flight plan before I go hunting. But it doesn't matter. Even if I push the SOS button on my in-reach device and it goes up to the GPS constellation and goes down, I'm going to bleed out. If that's a femoral wound or if that's a chest wound, it could be too late before help comes. So you need to be self-sufficient. That's probably going to include taking a formal wilderness first aid class, a wilderness first responder, or if you really got some gumption, the wilderness EMT class. But just for every single hunter that goes out in the woods, do the WFA class, the Wilderness First Aid class, 16 hours in the classroom, worth your money, worth your time, and you're going to learn ways to truly save your life. So what do I bring in the field? Well, I'm hunting, so I got to keep it light. First thing I have for first aid is I have my sit pad. Not only do I sit on it, but can also be used for splinting. Broken ankles are like one of the number one injuries. Sprained and broken ankles are one of the number one injuries for hunters. You're in rough, rocky terrain, you take a step, you snap that ankle. This is a great way to start the splint. I'm not going to go too deep into the first aid kit. Again, there's fairly basic necessities. Again, like I said, Band-Aids, some pain medication, ibuprofen, Aleve, Tylenol, whatever you have. If you have any prescription meds, make sure you bring them. I've got EMT shears, mainly bandages, and just things to stop to help out with minor injuries or any extended advanced care. The next thing that I have here is my individual first aid kit, and this is the same one that I use on the range or whenever I'm out with using firearms. I have a kit that is designed specifically to deal with punctures, impalements, specifically high-speed punctures like gunshot wounds, arrow injuries, anything else where time counts. You need to stop the leaks immediately and essentially get down and take care of business. So it's on the outside of my pack all the time. Never put your individual first aid kit or your trauma kit inside your pack. On the outside, I have two 14 gauge needles. These are for needle decompressions. One thing that I do want to state is I see a lot of people going out and buying IFAKs because they're cool. And, they see them on, any guy with a beard and tattoos on the interwebs He's going to be talking about his IFAK and all this. If you don't have the training, don't buy the junk. It's not going to do you any good. You're not going to get any cool points out in the wilderness. Nobody really cares until you need it and you don't know how to use it. So again, I do have specialized training. I know many of you guys do as well, and go out and seek advanced training as well. So, as I mentioned, I've got 14 gauge needles. This is for what's called a needle decompression, pneumothorax, where you've got air in the chest, and it's challenging your heart to beat. So again, that's an advanced skill, but it's something that can make a big difference. Inside the pack, I have gloves. I won't touch my mom if she's bleeding unless I have gloves on. I'm not going to touch my hunting buddy Wayne without gloves at any time, and I advise you do the same. Diseases still are out there. Even if you love that person, you got to protect yourself. I have a tourniquet. The tourniquet that I use is the CAT by the North American Rescue. It is a legitimate tourniquet. It is not a magic wand. If you do not know how to use the tourniquet, it's not going to do you any good. The training for it is fairly simple, but you need to learn how to use it. And then I have it stowed in a very particular way so that I can access it as quickly as possible. There's a lot of tourniquets on the market. I highly recommend that you use one that is recommended by the TOCCC. It's the Committee for Combat Casualty Care. So, find a good tourniquet. And again, this is only for appendages. I have some hemostatic Z-fold bandage. So this is good in joints where you need to stop bleeding. It's a hemostatic agent, and also it combines with pressure. You put the bandage inside the wound, and it will help stop the bleeding. I have a chest seal. Again, we're around firearms, we're around arrows, and you've got to stop any leaks, including leaking air. As I mentioned, if air gets into your thoracic cavity, your chest cavity, your lung can collapse, and also it can put pressure on the heart, which disallows it from beating properly, and then what happens after that. Things aren't good. So a chest seal, they come in packs of 2. Why? Entry wound, exit wound. And that's all that I have in there. It's fairly simple. And again, this is just to stop big leaks, big holes from either arrow impalements, punctured wounds, gunshot wounds, any high velocity wound. And ideally, not ideally, because I never want them to be used on me, but this pack is for me. I will use it on someone else. In a hunting environment, there's seldom another threat. So I'm okay with using my first aid on someone else. If you were in a defensive situation, you may not do that. Again, depending on that situation that's at hand. So that's all that I have for first aid kits. Make sure you bring one. Most importantly, get the training, because without it, it's just equipment, and equipment doesn't do anything without the proper skills, knowledge, and experience. Your defense is personal. Dave Bremson from SafeMind.